For billions of people around the world, organized religion isn't just a belief system, it's their moral compass, their source of comfort in times of crisis, their guide through life's biggest questions. Harvard Divinity School has published extensive research showing how religious institutions provide essential social services, community support, and ethical frameworks that hold societies together. Even the U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly acknowledged religion's fundamental role in maintaining social order and human dignity. We're taught to see these institutions as benevolent, truth-seeking organizations dedicated to helping humanity understand the divine and live better lives. And for the most part, that's exactly what we'd expect them to be, right? But when you actually examine the historical documents and archaeological evidence, something strange happens. Patterns emerge, not random mistakes or innocent misunderstandings, but systematic, deliberate misinformation campaigns that span centuries, calculated strategies designed not to reveal truth, but to build power. I'm talking about 10 specific, documented lies that weren't accidents. They were strategic deceptions used across multiple religious institutions to control how entire populations thought, behaved, and understood reality itself. The first lie alone changed how entire civilizations understood their relationship with the divine. If you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about religious authority, subscribe now because this journey goes deeper than most are willing to explore. But fair warning, once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. That first civilization-changing lie was the foundation all others were built upon. It's called the divine mandate lie. Here's how it works. Religious leaders claim they receive direct communication from God, divine visions, sacred revelations, messages that give them unquestionable authority. Sounds reasonable, right? If someone genuinely speaks to the divine, we should probably listen. But here's what the archaeological evidence actually shows us. In ancient Mesopotamia, we've uncovered thousands of cuneiform tablets from places like Ur. These aren't religious texts, they're administrative records, internal documents that priest kings never intended for public viewing. And what do they reveal? Meeting notes, strategy sessions, detailed discussions about which divine visions would best justify upcoming political decisions. King Hammurabi didn't receive his famous law code from the god Marduk in some mystical encounter. The tablets show his advisors crafting these divine revelations to legitimize laws that benefited the ruling class. This wasn't unique to ancient times. Pope Gregory VII claimed God personally told him that papal authority supersedes all earthly kings. Revolutionary stuff in 1075. But Vatican archives contain letters showing Gregory coordinating with political allies about the timing of the supposed divine revelation. Pure coincidence that God's message aligned perfectly with Gregory's power struggle against the Holy Roman Emperor? The early Islamic caliphates pulled the same move. Claims of divine guidance that just happened to support military expansion and wealth accumulation. Here's the part that should shock you. This lie didn't just give religious leaders spiritual authority. It let them override secular law entirely. When a king made a decision, people could debate it, challenge it, even rebel against it. But when that same decision came wrapped in divine authority, game over. You're not just opposing a human leader anymore, you're opposing God himself. Suddenly, questioning becomes blasphemy. Resistance becomes sin, and the power that accumulated, unprecedented in human history. The Catholic Church became the largest landowner in medieval Europe. Islamic caliphates controlled trade routes spanning 3 continents, all justified by convenient conversations with the divine that archaeologists can trace back to human political strategy. But here's the thing that kept me up at night when I first discovered this. If they were willing to fabricate divine authority itself, what else were they willing to lie about? Because fabricating divine authority was just the beginning. They needed to control what people believed about their very nature as human beings. Because once you have divine authority, you need a problem to solve. Think about it. If humans are naturally good, naturally connected to the divine, why do they need you? Enter lie number 2, the original sin deception, and lie number 3, the exclusive salvation lie. Here's how this psychological masterpiece works. First, convince people they're fundamentally broken, born corrupted, spiritually diseased from birth through no fault of their own. Then, offer the only cure: Christianity's doctrine of original sin. It comes from Augustine of Hippo in the 4th century. But here's what most people don't know. Augustine deliberately mistranslated the Hebrew text of Genesis. The original Hebrew word ra doesn't mean evil or sinful. It means unripe or immature, like fruit that hasn't finished growing yet. The Jewish scholars who wrote Genesis weren't describing humans as corrupted. They were describing humans as incomplete, still developing, still learning. But Augustine needed something darker, something that required intervention. So he changed unripe to evil, changed developing to damned. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, contain writings from early Christian communities that existed before Augustine's influence spread. And guess what they don't contain? Any mention of original sin. Any suggestion that humans are born corrupted. These early Christians saw spiritual growth as growth, natural development, not recovery from some cosmic infection. But Augustine's version became doctrine. Why? Because it created dependency. If you're born broken, you need someone to fix you. If you're born damned, you need someone to save you. And conveniently, only one organization could provide that salvation. Not just any spiritual path, not personal growth or direct divine connection. Only through them, only through their rituals, their priests, their approval. This is the exclusive salvation lie in action. Modern psychology has a term for this: learned helplessness. Convince someone they're powerless, and they'll become dependent on whoever claims to hold the power. Studies from Johns Hopkins show that people raised with original sin doctrine score significantly higher on dependency scales and significantly lower on self-efficacy measures. But here's the part that should make your blood boil. This psychological manipulation wasn't just about control, it was about money. If you're born damned, you'll pay anything to be saved. Medieval indulgences generated more wealth for the Catholic Church than all the kingdoms of Europe combined. People sold their homes, their land, their children's future to purchase salvation from sins they were told they inherited at birth. The Protestant Reformation didn't eliminate this lie, it just franchised it. Different denominations, same basic message: you're broken, we're the fix, pay up. These psychological control mechanisms were incredibly effective, but they needed something even more powerful: control over knowledge itself. Information control. That's where psychological manipulation becomes systematic. Welcome to lie number 4, the sacred text lie. And lie number 5, the translation deception. Religious authorities made a brilliant move here. They claimed their texts were perfect divine revelations, word-for-word dictation from God Himself, unchangeable, infallible, sacred. But while they were making these claims publicly, what were they doing privately? Editing, altering, mistranslating, all for political purposes. Let's start with Christianity. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, bishops from across the Roman Empire gathered to decide which Gospels would be official, not which ones were most accurate, which ones were most useful. They had dozens of Gospels to choose from: the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Philip, all claiming apostolic authority. But here's what happened. 27 books made it into the New Testament. Over 40 others were declared heretical and ordered destroyed. The selection criteria: political compatibility with Roman imperial goals. Then there's the translation game. The King James Bible, considered sacred by millions, contains a deliberate mistranslation that changed Christianity forever. Isaiah 7:14. The Hebrew word Alma simply means young woman, but the translators chose virgin instead, Parthenos, in Greek. Why? Because they needed Jesus to fulfill a prophecy that didn't actually exist in the original text. This single mistranslation became the foundation for the virgin birth doctrine. Islam claims the Quran has been perfectly preserved since the 7th century. Not a letter changed, they say, but the Sana'a manuscripts, discovered in Yemen in 1972, tell a different story. These early Quranic texts show variations, additions, editorial changes. The perfect preservation narrative falls apart under manuscript evidence. Here's where it gets really calculated. For over 1,000 years, the Catholic Church forbade Bible translation into common languages, Latin only. Why? Because when people can't read the source material, you can tell them it says anything. The Codex Sinaiticus, one of our oldest complete Bibles, was discovered in 1844. It contains over 23,000 corrections and alterations. 23,000. These aren't copying errors. These are deliberate editorial decisions spanning centuries. And here's the part that should terrify you. Some of Christianity's most fundamental beliefs, the Trinity, eternal damnation, clerical celibacy, they come from translation errors and later additions, not original teachings. The archaeological evidence from Qumran shows that early Jewish and Christian communities had completely different understandings of basic spiritual concepts. We've been believing mistranslations for centuries. So when someone tells you their religious text is the unchanging word of God, remember this moment, because those texts have been edited more than a Hollywood screenplay. But controlling information was still not enough. They needed to control people's relationship with the divine itself. Controlling texts wasn't enough. They needed to control your access to the divine itself. This is lie number 6, the intermediary lie. And lie number 7, the ritual, necessity, deception. Here's the setup. You can't just talk to God directly. Oh no, that's too dangerous, too uncontrolled. You need a middleman, a priest, a ritual, an institution. But anthropological evidence shows this is completely fabricated. Studies of pre-organized religion spirituality reveal something fascinating. Humans naturally developed direct spiritual practices, meditation, prayer, vision quests, personal communion with the divine. No middlemen required. The Aboriginal Australians have practiced direct spiritual connection for over 60,000 years. No priest class, no mandatory rituals, just individual relationship with the sacred. Same with early Hindu traditions before the Brahmin caste system. Same with Celtic spirituality before Roman Christianity. Same with indigenous traditions across 6 continents. Direct, personal, unmediated. So what happened? Priest classes realized they were unnecessary, and unnecessary means unprofitable. So they systematically eliminated direct practices and replaced them with complex rituals that required professional oversight. Catholic sacraments? 7 opportunities for the church to charge fees and assert control over major life events. Want to get married? You need our ritual. Want your sins forgiven? Our ritual. Want to bury your dead? Our ritual. Islamic pilgrimage requirements turned Mecca into a medieval cash machine. Millions of people paying travel fees, accommodation fees, ritual fees, all flowing to religious authorities. The Jewish temple system created a monopoly on animal sacrifice. You couldn't just offer a prayer. You had to buy an approved animal from temple-certified vendors, at temple-inflated prices, of course. But here's the part that blew my mind. Most ancient religious rituals, they're not ancient at all. Christmas on December 25th? The Roman Catholic Church chose that date in 336 CE to compete with popular pagan festivals. Had nothing to do with Jesus' actual birth, the Catholic communion ritual. It evolved from simple communal meals into an elaborate ceremony requiring ordained priests and generating massive revenue from mass fees. Archaeological evidence from early Christian sites shows they were having potluck dinners, not mystical transformation ceremonies. The Vatican's own archives document these ritual developments. Meeting minutes from church councils where they literally designed new requirements. How can we make them need us more? That's an actual quote from a 4th century bishop's letter. And it worked. Brilliantly, people who once prayed directly to God now believed they needed permission, oversight, and expensive ceremonies just to be heard. Financial records show that ritual fees became the primary revenue source for religious institutions across cultures. The spiritual became transactional. These control mechanisms worked so well that religions began making their most audacious claims about reality itself. But the most powerful control mechanism, they weaponized your fear of death. Lie number 8, the afterlife manipulation. And lie number 9, the divine punishment side. Every human being wonders what happens when we die. It's universal, natural, inevitable. But organized religions took this beautiful, mysterious question and turned it into a weapon. They didn't just offer answers about the afterlife. They offered terrifying answers, specifically designed to ensure your compliance. Here's what the evidence shows. Early Hebrew texts, no concept of hell, no eternal punishment, no fiery torture chambers. The Hebrew word Sheol simply meant the grave, a peaceful resting place. Nothing more. But watch what happens as religious institutions gain power. The afterlife descriptions become increasingly detailed, increasingly horrifying. Dante's Inferno wasn't poetry, it was marketing. 9 circles of torture, each more creative than the last, and it worked. Anthropological studies reveal that before religious colonization, most indigenous cultures viewed death as transition, natural progression, even celebration. The Tibetan concept of bardo, Native American spirit journeys, Celtic otherworlds, peaceful, hopeful. But organized religions needed you afraid. Psychological studies from Stanford University show a direct correlation between fear-based afterlife beliefs and two things: religious obedience and financial giving. The more terrified you are of eternal punishment, the more you'll pay to avoid it. Medieval church records document this perfectly. Towns with the most graphic hell sermons generated the highest tithe revenues. But here's where this lie became murderous. The Crusades, fought by people convinced that killing in God's name guaranteed heaven while dying unforgiven meant eternal torture. The Spanish Inquisition, justified by the belief that torturing heretics in this life saved them from worse torture in the next. The Salem witch trials, neighbors burning neighbors alive to protect their souls from damnation. Fear of fictional punishment created real atrocities. And the mathematics are staggering. Conservative estimates suggest that afterlife manipulation has been directly responsible for over 15 million deaths throughout history. 15 million people died because of imaginary consequences. Here's what kept me awake for weeks after discovering this. They convinced entire civilizations to commit unspeakable acts by threatening them with nothing. Because anthropological evidence shows that peaceful death concepts are humanity's default. Fear-based afterlife beliefs only exist where religious institutions actively promote them. We traded our natural peace with mortality for manufactured terror. But perhaps the most insidious lie was yet to come. One that would make questioning any of this nearly impossible. Here it is, the lie that protects all the others. Lie number 10, the faith over evidence lie. And the final deception, the questioning is sin lie. Because once you've built an empire on fabrication, you need to make sure nobody examines the foundation. So organized religions pulled their master stroke. They convinced people that blind faith was virtuous, and that doubt, that questioning, that using your rational mind, that became sin. Think about how brilliant this is. They made thinking the enemy of spirituality. But here's what the historical record shows. This wasn't part of original religious teachings. Early spiritual traditions encouraged inquiry. The Hebrew word Israel literally means wrestles with God. The Buddhists built their entire philosophy on questioning assumptions. Early Christians were called to test all things. But as institutions gained power, inquiry became dangerous. Galileo, proven right about heliocentrism, but forced to recant under threat of torture. Giordano Bruno, burned alive for suggesting the universe might be infinite. Averroes, the Islamic scholar whose works on Aristotle advanced human knowledge by centuries, banned and burned by his own religious authorities. And these are just the famous cases. Hypatia of Alexandria, torn apart by Christian mobs for teaching mathematics and astronomy. Michael Servetus, burned at the stake by Protestants for questioning the Trinity. The Library of Alexandria, systematically destroyed by religious zealots who saw learning itself as heretical. We're talking about centuries of intellectual suppression, scientists tortured, philosophers executed, scholars silenced, all to protect lies. But it gets worse. Contemporary examples show this anti-intellectual stance continues today. Religious institutions fighting evolution education, opposing stem cell research, denying climate science. Always the same message. Faith trumps evidence. And here's the psychological manipulation that should make you furious. They made people feel guilty for thinking. You're having doubts? That's your sinful nature. You want evidence? That shows lack of faith. You're questioning authority? Pride comes before a fall. They turned intellectual curiosity, humanity's greatest gift, into a source of shame. Conservative estimates suggest this suppression delayed human progress by at least 500 years. 500 years of potential medical advances, scientific discoveries, technological innovations, lost because questioning threatened institutional power. The implications of what we've uncovered go far beyond religion. They reveal fundamental truths about how power operates in human societies. Subscribe to explore more uncomfortable truths that shape our world. Because once you recognize these patterns, you start seeing them everywhere. Political institutions, corporate structures, educational systems, social hierarchies, all using variations of the same 10 lies to maintain control. Understanding these 10 lies reveals something profound about human nature and the price of unquestioned authority. So there you have it. 10 lies that built an empire. The divine mandate, original sin, exclusive salvation, sacred text manipulation, translation deception, the intermediary requirement, ritual necessity, afterlife weaponization, divine punishments threats, and finally, making questioning itself a sin. Each one carefully crafted, each one serving the same purpose, control. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't an attack on your personal faith. It's not about destroying spirituality. Humans have always sought meaning, connection, transcendence. That's beautiful. That's what makes us human. The problem isn't spirituality. The problem is when institutions exploit that natural longing for power and profit. And yes, religious institutions have done tremendous good. Hospitals, schools, charitable works, community support. I'm not denying that. But here's the thing that changed everything for me. Truth should never be sacrificed for comfort, not even good comfort. Understanding these manipulation tactics doesn't destroy authentic spiritual exploration. It frees it. When you're not afraid of questioning, when you're not dependent on intermediaries, when you're not paralyzed by manufactured guilt, that's when real spiritual growth becomes possible. But this goes beyond religion. Political parties use the divine mandate lie. We speak for the people. Corporations use the intermediary lie. You need our product to be happy. Educational institutions use the questioning is sin lie. Don't challenge the curriculum. Media organizations use the sacred text lie. Our information is unbiased truth. The same patterns, the same tactics, different institutions. So here's my final question for you. Are you ready to apply the same level of scrutiny to every unquestioned authority in your life? Because once you start seeing these patterns, you can't unsee them. And that's not a burden. That's freedom.